Egypt, an all but lost civilization, found in the root of Africa. There are many depictions of ancient Egypt, its causes, its teachings, and its history. And somewhere in this tropical desert lies some of the world's most mysterious, powerful treasures. In this teaching, I, Master Armanu, will explain in simple detail, in a nutshell, what Egypt was about, and dive deeper into the reasons why it is in the state it is in. So without further ado, you are now about to discover the secrets of Egypt. Now Egypt was an ancient place filled with beauty and wonder. Its glorious halls, its open scenic rooms and layouts were iconic to Egypt's most image of ancient Egypt. Now what was the main feature in ancient Egypt? Why was it 100 degrees in some places? Who lived in Egypt? Well, in Egypt was an ancient place where a lot of powerful beings gathered, and there were a lot of people that were unique and different in all kinds of ways. For instance, we know that there were were people there, where people had reptilian, half eagle, half hawk, half crocodile, part bird. So there were weird people there, you know that by the depictions on the walls. Also there were reptilians there, and there were vampires, there were blue people, black people, red people, there were giants there. So Egypt was a place of power where lots of mythical beings gathered there and lived within Egypt's borders in ancient times, in very ancient times. And yes, there was a school there, a school where you could learn the higher mysteries as well as the lower mysteries, and learn ancient art forms and secrets, and gather skills and develop techniques. So Egypt had a school there. And this is where the most powerful knowledge was taught, in its underground chambers and in its halls and corridors. Lies all its history written on its walls. The Sphinx was at the entrance. Now the Sphinx led to a more powerful knowledge in the underground worlds of ancient Egypt. As you know that Egypt had lots of underground chambers and passageways underneath it, which led to ancient burials and tombs that were heavily guarded by lots of secret and sacred techniques, and some say even magic. Also, as you dive deeper into the Sphinx, underneath the Sphinx, as I stated, there were schools there and lots of books and a massive library. It is also rumoured that the halls of Amenti were meant to be down there. However, this is only speculation at the moment. It's common knowledge, as it hasn't been discovered yet. There were lots of royal burials, and this is where all the black kings were buried, and all the other ancient Egyptian beings, as well as giants and were people and vampires and other beings were buried when they were passed on. And so often some kings and pharaohs were buried with all their gold, all of their riches, all of their wealth, including security guards and soldiers at times. Whether they were buried alive, we're not too sure that, but well, some are, but yeah, they were buried along with them as well. And Egypt was full of electrified limestones in its river Nile, which was one of Egypt's main exports at the time, was electrified limestones. As you know, limestones carry electric current within them, most of them, which can be used to fuel, to provide electricity to devices. And also another export from Egypt was gold. And not only was limestone and gold exported from Egypt across the country and globe, it was also sported planetary from planet to planet. And I'll dive into that a bit later, into this teaching. But for now, pay attention. Electrified limestones and gold was Egypt's main export, along with other smaller exports. But that was some of their main exports, and they had abundance of it. And you can find most of the limestones within the River Nile. At night, Egypt would glow with energy, and you could feel the electrified magnetic energy within the air, and sometimes even see it with flash photography. So Egypt was definitely a place of power, and there was definitely a lot of energy in there. And you could feel it when you go to Egypt, the energy just buzzing us around there, positive, strong positive energy coming from there. It's very powerful and overwhelming. And when I first experienced it, I was shocked to see just how powerful the energy actually was. So Egypt has a glowing energy from it late at night, which can be seen, sometimes can be physically seen, just barely, but with flash photography or photon photography you can see it clearly. Also, it's actually strategic position. It's built across ley lines, not just energy points from the ground that it's built on, but also energy points from the stars astrally that sits above it. So it sits in a key point of interest, Egypt. This is why a lot of scientists and a lot of researchers look into Egypt, because of its strategic position in the stars and astrology cosmic charts. So it was built on ley lines. As for the reason why there is sand in Egypt, the reason why there's sand in Egypt is a question that has daunted geologists and environmentalists and those sort of kinds of people and scientists. And a lot of people have come to the right conclusions, and some people have not even come close. But the reason why Egypt has sand there is simple. Because Egypt was underwater, once underwater. Where else can you find sand if not but where there's water? Sand is usually found in places where there's water. So it shows that Egypt was underwater at one point, which explains the erosion on the pyramids and its surroundings. So Egypt was an underwater city. And this is why how you can tell this is that most of the pyramids found on the planet have been found underwater. It's only a few pyramids that have been found over land. And the reason why these pyramids and other pyramid-like shapes have been found over land is because Egypt's kingdom was vast. It was vast, it spread far and wide to other lands other than just Egypt. This is why you can find Egyptian people in Brazil with the Aztec pyramids and places like that, and all different points of interest. And find Egyptian pyramids in these places. It's because Egypt's kingdom was vast, and they had pyramids throughout the land, on land and underwater. And it is believed that they had some in the sky as well, on other planets. So this is why Egypt has sand there, is because it was once underwater. Now, the reason why Egypt is hot, it's obvious why the reason why Egypt is hot. If you look at it logically, the reason why Egypt is so hot, why it has a desert there, which sometimes in the midst of summer can rise up to over 100 degrees or more, which is scorching hot temperatures, which cause a lot of people that are not from the area to collapse from time to time. So they constantly have people patrolling through the desert or across the desert sometimes to look for these people just in case they're in need. So and sometimes some people, they don't even get found. So the desert can be a very dangerous place, and Egypt has a very dangerous desert. In the desert they have things like scorpions, scarab beetles, snakes, other loads of deadly creatures can be found, and insects and animals can be found there. So Egyptian desert does have a wildlife, but yeah, that is the reason why Egypt. So I didn't get to the reason. Yeah, the reason why Egypt is so hot is because if you look at Egypt, above Egypt is the ozone layer, and the reason why it's so hot there is because ships in ancient times would dock at Egypt and fly off carrying the export of limestone and gold to other planets. And as they come in the planet, they damage the ozone layer with their engines and their energy of their ship. Damages the ozone layer, makes it weaker and weaker and weaker, to the point where it starts weakening in that area. which allows the sun's rays to come through onto the earth, into that area, and shine down, heating up that area to a very hot temperature. So this is why it's so hot in Egypt, because the ozone layer is very damaged there. And you can find this again in Australia, in Australian deserts, where extraterrestrial life has been known to come there as well, which is documented by the Aborigines in the ancient texts and the ancient manuscripts and teachings that they teach in Australia. So this is why the reason Australia as well, but this is the reason why Egypt is so hot, because above it, in its atmosphere above it, a lot of ships came in and out of the area, which they damaged the ozone layer, which happens to be made out of gold dust, very fine gold dust, and maybe some other elements. And that is why why it's so hot in Egypt, because of the ships coming in and out of Egypt, damaging the ozone layer. So that's why it's so hot in Egypt. How big was the kingdom? Well, Egypt was a very massive kingdom. It was vast, as I spoke about a few points before. It had a lot of overland kingdoms and a lot of underwater kingdoms, and also forests and other terrains, even ice. So Egypt was a vast kingdom. It wasn't just that the River Nile and the Sphinx and the Valley of the Kings, etc., and all the other areas that it has, the Sut and such other places. So it was a very vast place, Egypt. It was massive, a huge kingdom, one of the hugest kingdoms at its time, and most renowned for its knowledge and secrets and mystery. So Egypt was a massive kingdom, and there was a lot of people that lived there of power, lots of different people of power, different abilities and skills, and etc. So that's Egypt was definitely a big kingdom. Now, just to end the video here, just told you this is just Egypt in a nutshell. And so yes, we're gonna let you know, start with the last one point. So where are the real Egyptians today, people ask? Well, the real Egyptians can be found everywhere, scattered throughout the land. These are your Mediterranean people, your Brazilian people, your African people, your Jamaican people, some European countries, some Asiatic countries. Egyptians are everywhere, and they have lots of descendants that descend from Egyptian beings and walks of life. So when people say that Egyptians was just solely for black people, that's not entirely true. It is true, mostly as a black civilization, but there were other beings that came there that's to seek knowledge and power and wisdom and advance and ascend in life, that came there for knowledge. So it was in its time, when its core, when it was active, there were lots of other beings there, of different type of people studying there, and so it was quite a busy place, I imagine, and so yeah, the real Egyptians today can be found all over the world, So, and I'd just like to add that the current Egyptians that are now occupying Egypt, they are not the real Egyptians. These people, I don't want to talk about their history, where they come from, because I'm not going to waste my breath on that. But they're not the real Egyptians. They're just keeping Egypt warm for us, so we claim it back. So yeah, you've been listening to the discovery of the secrets of ancient Egypt. Thank you for listening. If you like this video, give a thumbs up. Don't forget to share and comment. You've been listening to Almanu Sage, Nubian Kingz 144 channel. Thank you. And fair.